Hey, what's up guys? So recently Microsoft released the Xbox One X, and this is the console that Microsoft claims is the most powerful console ever made. It is also the smallest Xbox ever made, and it's something that Microsoft just wants to make a 4K powerhouse. But how does the One X stand up against a PC? Something that can produce 4K and has been producing 4K for a while now in terms of tech years. So without further ado, let's begin. So the term exclusive was used a lot during the game section of the previous video comparing the PS4 Pro and Switch to the One X, because Microsoft really wanted to boast how much exclusive games they had. But unfortunately, a portion of those exclusive console games are on PC, like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds and Cuphead, and in fact they were first. Now, of course, there are some games that are not on the PC, like Forza and Halo, but there are some PC-exclusive games, like certain Valve games like Garry's Mod and CSGO. The biggest advantage that the PC has to the One X is that for certain games, you can mod them. And we all know what modding is. It makes games amazing. Whether your intentions are to add cool new things that were not in the game, or add totally new things, or make the game better, or fix glitches, add things to the map. Modding to some people is very essential. Now, there are some people that don't really need modding, but it's just a little cool feature to go along with the game. But recently though, we've had some issues with modding amongst the community, like Rockstar trying to take away OpenIV or Bethesda trying to charge us for certain mods. And I'll talk about two very important things that come to games, because Bill, I love ya. You and Gabe are like papas, we are your children, you are like gods to us, but Gabe has a few special surprises that make PC better. I think people know where I'm going with this by now. So the service on Steam versus the service on Xbox are two very separate things. There's pros and cons to both of them. So with Steam, there's something that makes it very, very unique from the Xbox, and from any console, and from any service, even on PC, any service. And this is something that deserves a little short story in a poem rhyme form. So here we go. After the holidays, and after spring, that YouTube ad revenue is not rolling in. So when it comes down to all of that, summer comes and we all flail, because during that summer, the motherfucking Steam This has to be the best holiday. It's basically Christmas in summer. But in all seriousness, there are so many great deals, and sometimes there's deals that are not even on the Steam sale, like not even during summer. But during the Steam sale, I see incredible things. Like for example, Fallout 4, which came out in 2015 of November, was up for $15. But another part that makes it PC great is what's literally in the name. But seriously though, even without Steam, you can choose between how you want to play on a PC. You're not just restricted to playing on a controller. Of course, the main way to play, as we all know, and it's referred to as like the pro way, is with a keyboard and mouse. And some people find it to be a little bit more of an efficient way, a little bit more precise. Others may just want something that they could sort of just chill back on, or if they're streaming it onto their TV, then they would sometimes use a controller. So yeah, it's either way. But even with controllers, it becomes personal, because you don't necessarily have to play an Xbox controller or a Steam controller. You can use a DualShock, or I've heard people use their Nintendo Switch's Joy-Cons or even Pro Controller with Bluetooth. Now Microsoft might have some good deals here and there on the Xbox, but you do have to pay for gold, and that's sort of an issue with the Xbox. If you want to play online, it is more than obvious and it's more than clear that everyone knows that you have to pay to be online. And as an incentive, Microsoft will sometimes throw in some games. There's been very rare occasions where the games are good. One of the thankful things is that, unlike on PlayStation, where if you run out of your membership, you don't get to keep the games, on the Xbox, you do get to keep the games. So I guess that's a plus, no pun intended. But yeah, it is odd that if you want to get some good deals on the Xbox, you have to pay for them, which In other words, means that you're paying more for deals that'll rarely come that you might like. I know that that's just one aspect of Xbox Live, minus the 2 free games that you get every month and playing online, but that's just something to note. The Steam sale is free, basically. You just have to pay for the games. That's it. You don't have to pay for the service. There is no service to pay. It's all free, except for the games. So my PC has an Intel i5 with a GTX 980, 3.5 GHz, 16 GB of RAM, and 4 TB of memory. The One X is running a custom engine that's made by AMD, which is called the Scorpio engine. It's around the equivalent to a GTX 1080. It has 12 GB of GDDR5 RAM. Now, if that is true that the GTX is around 1080, that means that it's beating my computer. And let's pause for a second. For those of you that are PC nerds, you know how much some 1080s cost. And if you're wondering how much a 1080 costs, some of them can go around for as much as a One X or even more. If you just search up GTX 1080 on Google, you'll see some for $560, some for $600. So I'm gonna go into that more, but that's like a really good thing to note about when it comes to the One X and when you want to decide what you want to get. That is pretty impressive, Microsoft. I have to give you that. But let me counterclaim myself right now. A GTX that's on a PC has a lot more to do. There's a lot more power that's needed because, a PC's doing more than just playing games. The One X is only playing games. And also, we are consumers. We are not companies. We don't have special partnerships like Microsoft does. So this engine that is the equivalent to a 1080 may have been a lot cheaper for Microsoft to manufacture. So that's also something to note. That doesn't mean that the GTX that's on the One X is weak. It is really, really good, but once again, that's something to sort of just keep in mind. Now, the One X only having 1 TB. 1 TB is a lot, but games are going to get a 4K update, which is going to be a little bit massive. For something like Halo 5 Guardians, it was 15 GB, so in total that's 70 gigs. And Forza 7 is 100 GB, so that is something to think about, but it's not really a big deal because you do have 1 TB to play around with, and if you have to, you can go out and get another hard drive. So far with the games I've downloaded, I've used up around 700 gigs. I understand that it's in 4K, but how can a racing game be bigger than GTA 5? So I wanted to see if it's possible to match up with the One X specs and make a PC that's around $500, under $500, because I've seen comments on Twitter and Facebook on like news articles about the One X and people saying that you could make a PC that's as much or even with better specs. So I tried hunting for parts on Amazon, and when I was halfway with doing it, I just realized that it's not possible. I know I've been leaning a lot towards the PC in this video, but I have to be honest, when it comes to the One X, the price, even though it is a lot for a console, if you look at it from a PC perspective, that is not a lot of money. So I thought, okay, let me just add up what the basic price would be for all of these parts. When I covered like 70% of it, I got this number. But when it really comes down to these two things, it comes down to a couple questions. How much are you willing to spend? And are you going to do more than just gaming? Because if you're going to be a gaming YouTuber, I would highly recommend getting a gaming PC instead of getting like a cheap laptop and a One X. Having a gaming PC doesn't just mean that you can game on it, it also benefits with other things like editing. There's a lot of power that you need to render videos, especially for those people that want to go 4K. You're going to have a lot of power, and you cannot render a 4K video on a $300 laptop. It's just not going to work out. One of two things is going to happen. You're going to be like 5 years older than you are from now, or your PC's just going to explode. If you're someone that doesn't really care about the PC aspect and you just want to play games, that's where the One X shines. But like I said before, there's a lot of exclusive games that you would find only on Steam or on another browser, or retro games and emulators and stuff like that. And in the long run, you are saving a lot of money with, that Steam sale that I mention all the time. But yeah, Phil Spencer, I I still have to say you did a pretty good job. I'm proud of you, buddy. But that does leave a question though about the future of resolutions and visuals and the next generation of products. Like I've said between these two videos, one of the main focuses for companies seems to be to make games look visually better. But what happens when we pass the limit that the human eye can perceive, because there is a limit? That's why it's sort of hard for some people to notice the difference between 4K and 1080p unless they have a side-by-side comparison. That's why it was hard for even me to notice the difference. So when we do hit that limit, are we just gonna go in a step where Nintendo's taking it? Or we're just gonna have to be innovative and just make products cooler because of cool features, sort of like how smartphones do that? Only the future can tell, and also money. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Fuck, there's a pun in there. I can't have a pun in a video. The next video. I'll just say that. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.